The River of Euphrates is drying up. Huge rapture sign. The Euphrates River is the largest and most significant river in Western Asia. It is also the longest river in the region. The Euphrates River begins its journey in Turkey and continues on through Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon before finally emptying into the Persian Gulf. The Euphrates River is the most important source of fresh water in Western Asia, particularly in Syria. The water supply of the Euphrates River is being choked off by the water policies of Iraq's neighbor Turkey and Syria's severe drought over the past 3 years, in addition to years of mismanagement by Iraq and its farmers. This can be seen in images captured by satellites. The Euphrates is mentioned in the Bible as being one of the rivers that leads into the Garden of Eden. But how is this a rapture sign? Hello viewers and welcome back to Rapture Revealed. We are back with some insane updates again, so if you're new here, please hit the bell icon and subscribe to the channel by which you get the notifications regularly. Stay tuned to know more about it and comment your thoughts down below. The water supply of the Euphrates River is being choked off by the water policies of Iraq's neighbor Turkey and Syria's severe drought over the past 3 years, in addition to years of mismanagement by Iraq and its farmers. This can be seen in images captured by satellites. The Euphrates is mentioned in the Bible as being one of the rivers that leads into the Garden of Eden. According to the book of Revelation, the river served as one of the demarcations of the territory that God had promised to Abraham and the descendants of Abraham. According to a certain prophecy, the Euphrates River will run dry in the not-too-distant future in order to make way for the Battle of Armageddon. After that, they gathered all the kings together in one location, which is referred to as our Megalodon in Hebrew. The kings of the east are mentioned in verse 12, and this verse continues the discussion about them. In verse 12, the sixth angel empties his bowl into the great river Euphrates, which causes the river's water to evaporate and clears the way for the kings of the east to take their rightful places. According to this verse, the sixth angel emptied his bowl into the river just before it became scorched. This could also imply that at this time, all sins will be revealed and those who have not been redeemed will be made to feel ashamed of themselves. The great city was cut into 3 sections, and all the cities in the other nations were destroyed. In the presence of God, great Babylon was brought to mind so he might pour out upon her cup of the wine that represents the fury of his wrath. This verse describes the partitioning of the enormous city into 3 distinct sections. There are 3 countries through which the Euphrates River flows: Turkey, Syria, and Iraq. I'm not sure if this verse refers to any of those countries. All of these prophecies were made 2,000 years ago, and the drawing of the river Euphrates is the only one of them that we can almost see coming true. This seems a huge downfall for Iraq. Now let's understand the situation and the reason behind it. Less water every day. The Tigris begins its journey through Iraq in the mountains of autonomous Kurdistan near Turkey and Syria, where locals raise sheep and grow potatoes. Our life depends on the Tigris, says farmer Pibo Hassan Dolmasa, age 41, in the town of Faish Kabur, wearing a dusty coat. All of our work, all of our agriculture is dependent on it. Before, the water was pouring in torrents, Kurdish farmers said, but there is less water every day in the last 2 or 3 years. The Iraqi government and Kurdish farmers accused Turkey, the Tigris's source, of withholding water in its dams, reducing the flow into Iraq dramatically. According to Iraqi official statistics, the Tigris River's level of entry into Iraq has dropped to only 35% of its century-long average. Baghdad frequently requests that Ankara release more water. However, Turkey's ambassador to Iraq, Ali Risaguni, urged Iraq to make better use of the available water, tweeting in July that water is largely wasted in Iraq. Experts believe he has a valid point. Iraqi farmers flood their fields rather than irrigate them, as they have done since ancient Sumerian times, resulting in massive water losses. Central Plains. We sold everything. Puddles of stagnant water dot the parched bed of the river Diyala, a tributary of the Tigris that meets the Tigris near Baghdad in the Central Plains. Drought has dried up a vital watercourse for the region's agriculture. Authorities in Iraq have been forced to cut cultivated areas in half this year, which means no crops will be grown in the severely damaged Diyala governorate. We will be forced to abandon farming and sell our livestock, said Abu Mehdi, age 42, dressed in a white jalaba robe. We were displaced by the war against Iran in the 1980s, he explained, and now we will be displaced by water. We can't live in these areas without water. To try to get water, the farmer went into debt to dig a 30-meter well, or about 100-foot well. "We sold everything," Abu Mehdi admitted, but it was a flop. Last year, the World Bank predicted that much of Iraq would suffer a similar fate. By 2050, a 1 degree Celsius increase in temperature and a 10% decrease in precipitation would result in a 20% reduction in available fresh water, it said. Under these conditions, nearly 1/3 of Iraq's irrigated land will be devoid of water. Water scarcity is already one of the main drivers of rural to urban migration in Iraq, according to the UN and several non-governmental organizations. And, according to the International Organization for Migration, climate factors displaced over 3,300 families in Iraq's central and southern regions in the first 3 months of this year. Climate migration is already a reality in Iraq, according to the IOM. Sandbanks and pollution in Baghdad. This summer, the Tigris River level dropped so low in Baghdad that people played volleyball in the middle of it, splashing barely waist-deep through its waters. The Ministry of Water Resources in Iraq blames silt on the river's decreased flow, with sand and soil that washed downstream now settling to form sandbanks. Until recently, Baghdad authorities used heavy machinery to dredge the silt, but work has slowed due to a lack of funds. Years of conflict have destroyed much of Iraq's water infrastructure, leaving many cities, factories, farms, and even hospitals to dump their waste directly into the river. As sewage and garbage from the greater Baghdad enter the Tigris, they create a concentrated toxic soup that endangers marine life and human health. For Iraqi governments grappling with political, security, and economic crises, environmental policies have not been a top priority. Ecological awareness is also low among the general public, according to green climate activist Hajar Hadi, even though every Iraqi feels climate change through rising temperatures, lower rainfall, falling water levels, and dust storms. South, dead palms and salt water. Did you notice these palm trees? They're thirsty, said 65-year-old farmer Mawlia El-Raked, pointing to the brown skeletons of what was once a lush palm grove. "They require water. Should I try to irrigate them with a glass of water?" he grumbled. "How about with a bottle?" "There is no fresh water, no life," the farmer said, his beige keffiyeh scarf wrapped around his head. He lives in Ras al-Bisha, near the borders with Iran and Kuwait, where the confluence with the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers, the Shaut al-Arab, empties into the Gulf. Many of the depleted waterways in nearby Basra, dubbed the Venice of the Middle East, are choked with garbage. According to Al-Rashed, he has to buy water from tankers for his livestock, and wildlife's now invading settled areas in search of water. And this was the Insider Story. So what do you guys think about this? Please let us know in the comments below. And for now, that's going to do it for today's video. Please hit the subscribe button and make sure you ring the bell icon so you don't miss out on the next one. And thanks for watching.